Dalvin Cook. Mwah!
Here's a screen for Cook. Dalvin Cook. Still going. Hello. Looking for a block from Diggs.
That's just good, strong running. The guy who runs 4.4 has amazing speed, and after contact.
Kirk Cousins was solid.
Pass is caught. There's Diggs again.
You know, but Kirk Cousins, I tell you, he doesn't get enough credit for just how tough he is. He'll hang in the pocket, and he does there and delivers, knowing that he is going to take a shot.
I mean, you really only wanted 3 things out of this game. Number 1, no matter how you do it, get a W.
Did you win this game?
I think we did, yeah.
Number 2, nobody gets hurt. That is, nobody who isn't completely useless gets hurt.
He's on the sideline.
And number 3, Pat Elflein gets fewer than 57 holding penalties.
Number 65, offense. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
Well, that's Pat Elflein.
Now, I think he got like 78 penalties, but only like 54 of them are holding penalties.
Holding. Number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
It's against Pat Elflein.
13 were borderline.
The rookie Jimmy Moreland. Here's a spin. Flag on the play.
Holding. Number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
It's another one on Elflein.
Yeah, that's when the flag came out, you knew it was holding, and I was just thinking, you know, please don't let me on Pat Elflein.
And 12 were actually committed by Xavier Rhodes.
He's on the sideline.
So, success.
Success. Success. Success.
My kids have this thing they learn at school. When something bothers them, put it in the trash. Mentally put it in the trash. Forget about it. Move on.
And I would say, delete that.
That's kind of how this game is. You know, no matter how bad it was, no matter how gross and how unpleasant it was to watch, they got a W, just forget about it, put it in the trash, move on.
Some things are much better left unsaid.
You know, the less said about this game, the better.
Like what?
Well, you know, sometimes when you blow your nose into a tissue and you put it in your purse, then a little while later you have to reach in there for your lipstick or something, and your hand gushes into it and
Okay,
it goes all over.
You're right. Some things are better left unsaid.
You know, we won't even talk about the fact that they ran the screen to Rudolph twice in this game.
From the 36, little screen for Rudolph. And Kyle Rudolph gets a full head of steam and takes it out near the 43. Cousins keeps setting up a screen for Rudolph.
And then the Redskins ran a screen to their tight end just to like rub it in the Vikings' face. So, hey, you know, if a tight end has a little bit of speed, he can actually get some yards. The ugliness of this game, it doesn't bother me too much as long as it's just specific to this game. That's fine. I don't mind playing it this way because you're going to win. The play calling was extremely vanilla. Tons of runs on 1st and 2nd down, lots of straight dropbacks by Cousins where the O-line just got completely overpowered. No rhythm, no attitude, no pace to the offense. And so the Redskins defense basically just pinned their ears back the whole game. All of them get pushed back 5 yards immediately. The Vikings were just being so predictable. Weren't really getting Cousins out of the pocket. And again, it's okay against a team that you can't lose to play this way. Zimmer acknowledges we're not going to call plays like this against anybody else. That's fine. Because it doesn't matter who they play. If they don't get Cousins out of the pocket, they could be playing a high school team. Their O-line cannot stand in place and block anybody. They just get overpowered. And then there's, of course, the Vikings defense. I mean, the pass defense just was horrible.
Keenum keeps it, throws it over the middle, wide open.
For over half the game.
They struggled a little bit against Philadelphia, did not play well against Detroit, and against the offense that has really had some problems. They've not looked good here in this first half.
There's some questions here the last couple of weeks for this Vikings defense.
Thought his defense played very soft in that first half.
I mean, Case Keenum looked like Chase Daniel in the first half until he got hurt.
This is the most meaningful game for the Vikings, and right now this defense really hasn't shown up.
You know, the main issue obviously with the defense is Xavier Rhodes. Maybe the worst cornerback in the league. I mean, just that bad. You got to bench him. You got to sit him down. You better to have nobody out there. Better to play with 10 guys. Who called that Xavier Rhodes was overrated 2 years ago? Over 2 years ago. Xavier Rhodes? People talk about him like he's Deion Sanders, an absolute shutdown corner. Never turns to look at the ball. Because he never turns to look for the ball, he's never a threat to make an interception. He is a penalty machine, and he will get them at the worst possible time. Who saw this coming? Of course. Never looks for the ball. Never looks for the ball! I mean, I heard someone say, oh, he's overthinking it.
He overthinks things at times.
He's not overthinking it. He doesn't think. He does the same thing every play.
Another penalty by Xavier Rhodes.
People who overthink things do things differently. He's the dumbest person on earth. Not named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The other people are like, oh, he's hurt.
Mike Zimmer told us he's healthy and he needs to play better.
His groin, his hip, his hamstrings. He's not hurt. He's right there to make the play. Turn your head, knock the ball down.
That was his 7th penalty for the year, his 3rd pass interference call.
Stop making excuses. But one thing people just never seem to call it is the lack of a pass rush by the Vikings D-line. They never get consistent pressure on the quarterback. All day to throw. All day to find open receivers. So either you need a really good pass rush or a good pass defense. We have neither, so our defense isn't very good. Of course, Teflon Stefan showed up again. 4th fumble this season, and then, then that doesn't include the interception that bounced off his face mask that in the Eagles game, or him taking his helmet off in the Packers game. This guy, he's the type of guy who makes a lot of big plays, and he gives them back. He screws up. And so we can't be too reliant on him. We need Cook and Thielen to be our primary offensive weapons. But this is the type of game that can help this team because it reinforces and exposes their weaknesses. Play calling. You got to be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You were exposed early in the year when you tried to be conservative. You got to be aggressive. You got to score because your defense is not going to come through for you. And that's something Zimmer has to understand. You are not a defensive team. Understand that. You are an offensive team. You have to outscore people. You have an explosive offense, a mediocre defense. You've got to put points on the board, keep the pedal down. Understand that you are not a defensive team. I mean, you've got a couple guys like Eric Kendricks and Anthony Harris who can make plays on that defense.
Trying to set up the screen, and that was broken up by Eric Kendricks.
Hey, Eric Kendricks, that's a heck of a play by him.
Second down and 6. Haskins too high and now picked. McLaurin was wide open, but Anthony Harris gets the interception. And that's the 4th for the rookie.
Well, that's about it. And I think the other thing, because you're an offensive team with a mediocre defense, you are not a Super Bowl team this year. Understand that and think about next year.
The rest of you, if your number wasn't called, better luck next year.
Because next year is when you have potential to be a Super Bowl team. If you can shore up your defense. If you can get rid of Xavier Rhodes, bring in better cornerback, get rid of Everson Griffin, replace him, get a better interior lineman, think about next year.
All right, I called your number, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Cousins' 3rd year of his contract. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, someone other than Pat Elflein on the offensive line. And then maybe next year the refs don't just give Green Bay two wins early in the season to basically give them the division. Next year.
Better luck next year.
Next year.
No, that wasn't very nice.
You have to get rid of Xavier Rhodes. He cannot be on the team. So anyway, our awards for this week, number 1, the coincidence of the week. That goes to Xavier Rhodes. He got hurt, big surprise. And I think it was on like the next play. Mackenzie Alexander replaced him.
He's on the sideline and into the tent he goes as Mackenzie Alexander takes his spot.
And it was a 3rd and 3. And typically on a 3rd and 3, Xavier Rhodes would give like a 10-yard cushion and allow the first down. Gee, what a coincidence. Mackenzie Alexander stopped the play from being a first down. It's just such a coincidence. All-pro Xavier Rhodes, he gets hurt. And next play, his replacement makes an interception. What a coincidence. Summer of George Offensive Award, of course, this is going to the Vikings for the 2 screens to Kyle Rudolph. And even though the first time they ran a screen to Rudolph, the next play they got, of course, a big gain. Then they did it again later in the game to Rudolph, and they didn't get a big gain on the next play. I think teams are getting wise to this, and so I don't know how much longer they can do the screen to Rudolph before teams just say, oh, we're on to you. We know what's coming next. You're going to throw it to a good player on the next play, not a guy who sucks like Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph Award for running out of bounds 1 yard short of the first down on 3rd down. That, of course, goes to Kyle Rudolph. You just see him catch that ball on 3rd down short of the first down, and it's like, you could turn upfield and try to get the first down, but let's just run to the sideline very gently and gingerly.
Rudolph, that is an excellent job. That's a big guy. I mean, he could have lowered his shoulder and just Wynn got it.
And once the guy makes contact with you, you go straight sideways. You don't reach for that first down or anything. The softest player, not named Xavier Rhodes, in the history of the league. Oh, you got to get Rudolph involved. He's earned it. My ex-wife at one point being attractive award for something I'm pretty sure I hallucinated. That was Adrian Peterson caught a pass out of the backfield and got yards, like a lot of yards out of it. I've never seen that happen. I didn't think it was possible because he's like the stupidest person on earth, and after Xavier Rhodes. Adrian Peterson and Xavier Rhodes, they're the same person, basically. They can't change what they do at all. Hey, Adrian, why don't you learn how to catch a pass out of the backfield? Nope. Give me the ball and I'm going to run straight ahead. Xavier Rhodes, why don't you learn to turn and look for the ball? Nope. I'm just going to run, staring at the receiver, and once I think the ball's coming, I'll tackle him before the ball gets there. These are just two morons. The 1,234,234th stupid thing that Joe Buck has said on the air, that goes to Joe Buck, of course. When Keenan went down with the concussion, they're like replaying the play where Keenan got hurt.
We don't know where it happened.
And they show his head like hitting the turf really hard.
We don't know where it happened.
And Joe Buck is watching this and he's just like,
we don't know where it happened.
I don't know where the concussion could have happened.
We don't know where it happened.
The Tony Dungy Award for a quote that sounds pretty vulgar out of context.
But those tight ends are huge, and Tom loves those tight ends.
Goes to Troy Aikman.
Well, I like the action.
Hi, honey. What are you doing? You want to watch? Okay. Try to be nice while you're in here. The Mike Remmers Award for totally not blocking a guy.
Al, you have a creative mind. Tell me what Mike Remmers is doing right here.
Let me watch.
That goes to Pat Elflein, who, when he needed a break from holding a guy on every play, he decided not to touch him because he figured if I touch the guy, I just can't resist holding him.
Well, I like the action.
I think he's got some, some issues maybe. He's maybe his wife left him or something. Okay, I can relate, and he's like, every time he gets close to someone, he has to hold on to them so they don't leave,
Well, I like the action.
Mike Tice Award for the dumbest coaching decision. That goes to Mike Zimmer. 4th and 1, your own 35. Against a team that's been kind of dominating your offensive line. Sneak up the middle, knowing that your offensive line can't get any push. The Xavier Rhodes Award for a guy who won't be on the team next year who gets a holding penalty. That goes to Laquan Treadwell.
Holding, number 11. Offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
It's Laquan Treadwell, and he's guilty of a hold.
I'll tell you, that's not going to endear him to Mike Zimmer, that's for sure.
Poetic Justice Award for a guy who got robbed consistently by his offensive line and then got rewarded finally. That was Alexander Madison. He had a couple big runs called back by our great offensive lineman holding on every play. I think it was a long third down play. They gave it to Madison. He got a huge run.
His defense played good here in the second half too.
Here's a handoff to Madison. How about this kid? Alexander Madison, and he stays in bounds to keep the clock running.
And it wasn't called back, miraculously. So that was good to see. He deserved that. The Tom Ski Award for a guy who looks miserable and wants to be put out of his misery. Bill Callahan. Don't blame you. I can relate. And last, the Adrian Peterson impression of the week. That goes to Stephon Diggs.
This is wide open. Takes it inside the 25, balls out. Redskins look like they have it.
Fumbling. Play the Chiefs next week. Now, Mahomes, I guess, might play actually now. I thought he was pretty much going to be ruled out. So if Mahomes plays, I'm going to probably need a barf bucket watching the game just because our pass defense is going to look so bad. Tyreek Hill against either Xavier Rhodes or any, I'm terrified. And our pass rush is non-existent. So this is scary. I'm terrified if Mahomes plays. Terrified. But at the worst, they'll be 6-3. They're still probably going to the playoffs and next year.